I'm proud. I've been through a lot of bad things, and I'm proud to have come out on the other side. I am who I am. I can't change that, but I can love who I am and be proud of myself.
Jessica Platt is a trailblazer in the world of women's hockey and in the fight for transgendered rights. She grew up in Sarnia, Ontario, where she played hockey on her high school's team. Shortly after graduating, she began hormone replacement therapy, initiating her transition. She went on to play defense for the Toronto Furies in what was the Canadian Women's Hockey League. A few years later, Jessica made history when she trusted her fans with her story. She came out as a transgender woman on Instagram in 2018, making her the first professional female hockey player to come out as a trans woman.
From inspirational to courageous, that's how many are describing a professional hockey player here in Toronto who is making history. Jessica Platt is the first transgender athlete to play in the Canadian Women's Hockey League.
Today, Jessica continues to be a strong voice for the transgender community and women's hockey. She knows Pride will be different in 2020. I'm chatting with her today to see how she'll be proud virtually. Jessica, JP, I feel like we've done this a bunch, but I also feel like in 2020, the year's been so crazy. You have to check in on people to make sure they're okay. So first of all, how are you doing? How are you isolating?
I'm doing great. I'm still working, so I haven't been able to isolate too much, but besides work, it's been pretty okay.
So I want to focus on your career because it's still remarkable, still an amazing story. But let's start at the very beginning of the story. What was growing up for you like?
Growing up was, it was pretty average. I would say. I learned to skate at age 4 or so on the ice rink in my parents' backyard. Quickly, I started playing hockey, and I fell in love with the game. Ever since then, hockey's been my safe place, somewhere I can go and just play hockey, don't have to think about anything else. It wasn't until about high school where, I really started noticing that there was something different about me. Puberty, you see people start changing, and, it didn't seem to fit with me. Yeah, it led to a lot of negativity surrounding the hockey atmosphere for me. Hockey, everything was great, my happy place on the ice is incredible. It's so much fun. I don't have to think about anything. I just play. I always tell people that I'm probably better on ice than, on solid ground. Growing up was pretty normal until about high school when I started noticing that there was differences to me, and then it got hard.
So now we're having a conversation about representation and why it matters and where it's really important. What did representation mean for you at that time? What was your relationship and understanding with what it meant to be trans when you were growing up?
Well, representation is obviously a huge thing. When I was growing up, the only representation I ever saw of trans people was in a TV show or a movie, somewhere in the media, where they were always 100% of the time the butt of the joke. They were there for someone to make fun of, and seeing that and deep down feeling like that was me, it really didn't make me super excited to really get out there and be true to myself.
You mentioned there were some hard times. Was there one moment or instance or stretch of time specifically that you look back on as being especially difficult?
Hockey had kind of shown me who I thought I needed to be. The culture in hockey showed me who, it shaped who I thought that I had to be and who people expected of me. So that made it really difficult because I was kind of at a war with myself inside. There was on one side who I thought I had to be, and on the other side there was who I was, and for a long time I let who I thought people expected me to be define who I was, and I wasn't truly happy until I let go of that and I was able to be true to myself and be 100% authentic.
You let go of that, and then you start to become active about it. You make the decision to start hormone replacement therapy. What was that decision-making process like for you?
Well, that decision-making process took a lot of time and a lot of work. I went to a doctor and he didn't know how to go about helping me, so he sent me to a psychiatrist who also didn't help me. So I went and found another doctor who eventually, got me in touch with what I needed to do and who I needed to talk to get started on hormone replacement therapy. So it was a lot of work to get there, but mentally starting it, in my head it was an easy thing to do, but it had come after a lot of thought and a lot of kind of figuring out how to do it and how I wanted to do it.
Were you scared? Were you excited? What was the range of emotions that you felt in that time?
Well, I was terrified because, all I had ever seen growing up was trans people being treated poorly, poor representations. So I didn't know how I would be treated. I was terrified of being rejected. I was terrified of being discriminated against, facing physical violence. You never know what's going to happen. So I was terrified to start it, but I was also, I guess, terrified in a good way to really, start my life.
There can be side effects. Was there anything you had to sacrifice throughout that process?
Throughout the process of hormone replacement therapy, I sacrificed a lot of speed, a lot of strength. I haven't told a lot of people, but right now, when I was training 5 days a week, I was bench pressing what I bench pressed in my grade 10 weightlifting class in high school. And back then, I wasn't training at all. So, there's a lot of speed, strength, stamina, everything that you lose when you start hormone replacement therapy.
So following that transition, how did you return to hockey given everything that you had lost?
Eventually, when I felt comfortable in a locker room type situation, I wanted to try playing hockey again. So found a league, played hockey, decided I wanted to go for it and play as high level as I could. So I was at the gym basically every day, training to get ready. I was on the ice as much as I could be. Lots and lots of hard work.
Well, that hard work leads you to eventually playing for the Toronto Furies. When you started with the team, did your teammates know that you were trans?
No, I hadn't told anyone on my team that I was trans. I just wanted to make the team on my own merits. I didn't want anything influencing whether or not I made the team, because I had come from boys hockey, where you had to be a certain way. So I just tried to fit in,
So when you eventually do tell your teammates, was there any apprehension, and how did they react once they knew?
Well, I was terrified to tell my teammates because I feared rejection. I feared people saying, horrible things. I feared, I was just scared at how people would react. But I was so pleasantly surprised with how they reacted. I told them, I stepped outside of the change room to let them digest the information, and almost immediately I had people coming out of the room, give me hugs, tell me how proud that they were of me, that they love me no matter what. And then, it's just, everyone was just like business as usual. They're like, so are you gonna come get ready for practice? And, we just went from there.
You mentioned the responses. Some of the responses, as you know, were not as favorable. And many people felt that it gave you a competitive advantage against your cisgendered competitors. From an education standpoint, can you clear up that misnomer?
Well, I think that I don't have a competitive advantage just because of how I was born. The years of hormone replacement therapy, you know, the loss of muscle mass, the loss of speed, the loss of endurance, stamina, all that essentially levels the playing field. I got to where I was because originally, yes, I had some talent, but hard work and dedication. Saying that there's a competitive advantage because of how someone was born, it really takes away from all the hard work that the athletes put in.
What makes you proud to be a trans woman?
The fact that I've been through so much and I've come out on the other side, and that I guess mostly that I know who I am. I'm proud. I've been through a lot of bad things, and I'm proud to have come out on the other side, happy, successful, and living the life that I've always dreamed of. You know, I am who I am. I can't change that, but I can love who I am and be proud of myself.
What would you tell a young athlete, given the fact that you've now come through the other side? How would you help a young athlete if they're struggling with where they are and their ability to make the decisions that you've already made?
You know, I would tell them, don't rush anything. Took a lot of thinking things through for me to get to where I'm at. And it's not a quick process. You've got to set yourself goals to help you reach, you know, that ultimate goal at the end. And that, most importantly, you know, love yourself, love the journey. You'll get there at the end.
Your previous Pride months, did you celebrate Pride? What were those celebrations like for you?
Well, in previous Pride months have been completely different. Really, I'd be more in the community. I'd be doing the Pride run in Toronto. I'd be at the Pride parade there. You know, maybe doing a couple events, going to Pride activities, just being out in the community and with people more. Because of COVID-19, obviously, everything's had to shift. So I think it's more been through social media, you know, Zoom calls and Zoom meetings, recorded videos, and you know, mostly just try and do what we can to create awareness and spread knowledge and hopefully foster acceptance.
Well, educate is something that you've done for a lot of people, myself included, and the hockey community, the trans community owes you a great debt of gratitude for the work that you've done and continue to do. They're both really proud of you, and so am I. Thank you for this chat, and thank you for everything you've done for the sport.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.